I hope this finds you well, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a really important lesson that I'm going to teach you today, and it's going to be about the 3 different types of women that you definitely do not want to date. You should maintain a safe distance from them at all costs. My observations have led me to believe that the first category of ladies should be avoided at all costs since they are typically the most risky. Anyway, the one who struggles with daddy issues is the one who did not have a great role model or a good father when they were growing up. These ladies are a complete and utter nightmarish scenario. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the moment the father was or wasn't at home. I mean, he could have been a piece of furniture in the house and just sat around and never engaged his daughters, or he could have been one of these in-and-out dads. Either way, it doesn't necessarily mean that the moment the father was or wasn't at home. It's not only the divorce or the constant traveling or whatever it was. It's also the fact that it's not just about spending time with the small girls. Rather, it's about getting them involved in activities and basically teaching to them how to do things. In order for them to mature into women who are not only powerful, but also bright, intellectual, and emotionally stable. Men are valuable. You should be aware that as an entrepreneur, you are powerful, you are an alpha guy, and you are the kind of personality that typically does not put up with nonsense from other people. You need a woman who is going to respect and cherish those types of attributes in a man if you're the kind of guy who has them. And if a woman or girl grew up in a house having a strong male role model, doesn't even have to be something that was intentional. The father could be an uncle, could be a grandfather. You know, sometimes women are widowed and the father dies or something. As long as there's a strong male role model in that home that shows her how a man should be. And I'm not talking about grunting and having a beer and grabbing his nuts and scratchy and other stuff like that. The father could be an uncle, could be a grandfather. Sometimes women are widowed and the father dies. Sometimes I'm referring to him being able to get on his knees and play with his little daughter, as well as talk to her, take her places, and participate in other activities often associated with fathers and their daughters. When I start seeing a new lady, one of the first things I do is inquire about the nature of her connection with her family, specifically her parents. It should raise a lot of warning flags if it's non-existent at all, or if she had a difficult connection with her father. In Normus, life is just better. If you do not date a woman who has daddy issues, it may not always be easy to tell if she does, however. If you ask her about her experience growing up and what her relationship is like with her parents, she's going to start talking about her father, and you're going to start to hear about the stories of the patterns that exist in her life as a result of those stories. Pay attention and more specifically, listen very, very intently. One of the things that is likely to occur if a girl has daddy issues is that whichever parent she has a difficult relationship with will be of the opposing sex. This means that she will always be a man. If a parent has unresolved concerns, the child shouldn't have the other parent as a parent. They have a propensity to want to resolve those unresolved issues with the man who is currently in their life, so even though you might be a wonderful person, she might have had a troubled childhood or a troubled relationship with her father. There is a good chance that she will attempt to reconcile or address those concerns with you, even when there is actually nothing there that needs to be handled. She's of the opinion that it is all in her brain. The other potential outcome is that they do not respect the value that you contribute to the situation, which is a common occurrence. You have a lot of experience under your belt. You may have been the firstborn child in your family, which would make you an alpha. You might be an entrepreneur if you can bring a lot of value to the table, because in this environment, things get done. They don't value it, and they don't give a damn about it if you didn't grow up in a house where there was always a person like him around. It's just not something that they care about, so even though you may have worked hard throughout your life to get to where you are or to accomplish things that you have, she's not going to value it. If she didn't value it when she was a child, why would she value it now that she's an adult woman? It's just not something that they care about. She just doesn't. Consequently, if a man was an option for her when she was younger, he is not going to be a priority for her when she's an adult. However, he will continue to be an option for her at that time. This could lead to situations in which it is all about her or in which she does not recognize the sort of value and strength that you bring to the table. It is possible for her to go very quickly if there is something that she does not like or if it does not meet her wants at that time. Hence, life is just made easier for her in this manner. Ignore a woman having a problematic relationship with her father if you come across one. Do not mistake women who have had a strong male role model in their childhood with fathers who are classed as having a classification. This is the one caveat I feel obligated to warn you about. What I mean by that is that there are women who have had fathers in their lives, but they have served them their entire life, and what it looks like is this daddy issue. What I mean by that is that there are women out there roaming about today who have had fathers in their lives. If I say, I need to do this, I need to do that, or I got to move something in my house, he will quit what he's doing, show up at her place, and start moving things about and doing things and serving her and painting walls and hanging chandeliers and doing all kinds of crazy crap. That wimp of a father is the kind of behavior she's going to anticipate from you when it comes to being a guy. Due to the fact that this is the kind of treatment she received from the man she was previously dating and the man she is currently with, she's going to want you to go out of your way to make her life as easy as possible. She will end up with a father who is utterly secretive and who would go out of his way to please her at all times. This is the one thing that should make you wary of this scenario. The second type of woman that you should try to steer clear of is the kind of woman who is looking to be saved, rescued, supported, or whatever word you prefer to use to describe her. I don't comprehend. It's as if we live in a world where feminism emerged in the 1960s, 1970s, or whenever it was, but we still live in a world today where women want to stand on their own 2 feet, or at least give the impression that they do. It's like we live in a world where feminism emerged in the 1960s, 1970s, or whenever it was. But despite this, individuals go through life picking and choosing which actions they should take and which they should not take. To put it another way, I want to be able to vote, I want to participate in physical education, and I want all of those other things too. That has my unequivocal support. When it comes to certain things like, I don't know, maybe picking up the tab every once in a while when you go there like, oh, that's okay. I don't want to deal with that shit because I've got this stuff over here and I need to be a woman, be served. I get it because I have a daughter, but when it comes to certain things like, maybe picking up the tab every once in a while, you're basically throwing money at them like you need to support or save them. And I didn't really understand this concept until the last few years. It can get even worse if the type of woman needs you to buy them shit snow tires or have their driveway plowed for them. You're basically throwing money at them like you need to support or save them. At a gathering in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, where several other business people were participating, I met a guy who was driving an off-road vehicle. He was relating to me his thoughts and feelings on his present existence. He was explaining to me that as he entered his late 30s and 40s, he became exhausted with dating women who needed to be safe, but didn't comprehend what that meant. I believe that I was married at the time, but it seems as though I have finally worked it out, as though I have finally figured out how to be single and how to enter the world of dating in the past few years. While money will continue to grow in our interests and multiply into perpetuity, don't you know if they're getting in, to get to the stage where they haven't been able to stand on their own 2 feet and are looking for a guy to rescue them and take care of them? There is a demographic, a woman out there that is looking for a guy to take care of their asses. While money will continue to grow in our interest and multiply into perpetuity, that is nothing more than a risk. You should know that both men and women should have the ability to stand on their own 2 feet. There shouldn't be gold diggers or pigeons. We are going to make up one column, which means that the other columns will rely on us for support. They should be able to look after themselves without any assistance. Avoid associating with ladies of this type. All they're going to do is milk you dry, and singles and indicators of that is when they start talking about their relationships with other males that they've dated. If they start asking for gifts, with the left within the first month or so, if they haven't got money, if they haven't offered to pick up a tab, things like that, if it's all about them, their selfishness. If they start asking for gifts with the left within the first month or so. Maintain a safe distance from the women who need to be rescued. Okay, the final sort of lady you should avoid as much as possible is the kind that is perpetually in conflict with her former partner about financial matters and child custody. We women have children. I really don't get why we live in a world where people are constantly getting divorced and going their separate ways. You should know that a child requires equal time spent with both of their parents, preferably a man and a woman. There is absolutely no reason why there should be conflict in court where it's over custody, which is really just about money, child support, and other things like that, because it gets jacked up quite a bit in Canada anyway if there's no shared parenting plan. If a child is with one parent most of the time, and then the daddy gets screwed over every other weekend. Unless the guy is a total degenerate, deadbeat criminal, or whatever it is, there's absolutely no reason the father has no influence or access to his child, and as a result it is up to him to invest as much time, energy, and money as possible into raising his child. Therefore, if you meet a woman who is that single, you can assume that she has recently been divorced. First and foremost, keep your distance from divorced or separated ladies. They are nothing but a source of frustration. They have not yet come to an agreement over their divorces. However, if you come across a lady who is a parent and who is in a permanent state of conflict with the father of her child, you can expect that the conflict involves issues pertaining to money, custody, and child support, among other things. You don't require any of that nonsense. There are a lot of women in the globe who are at a good position with the parenting recommendations they provide, even if they have children who are older and have moved on from that stage. In the event that there are children present, it is important that the children remain with the other parent. Another thing to consider is, from your point of view, when will you have the opportunity to hang out with her? If she always has the kids, all the time, all the time, all the time, it is not going to take place at all. Or maybe you find yourself playing the role of a surrogate father and treating these kids as if they were your own. They did not emerge from your scrotum in any way. You don't need to support them. There ought to be a father figure present who is responsible for looking after them. Therefore, you should avoid getting connected with ladies who guys. That wraps up everything for this video. Please forward this information to anyone you know who could use it, especially if they are in a position to benefit from it. There is always someone else in the world going through something comparable, and by gaining this knowledge, you have the potential to spare them a great deal of anguish in the long run. I am aware of this, and I know that I wish I had learned this approximately 10 to 15 years ago, but such is life.